Generating a Radiant report can be done so by coming to the Reports panel in the Radiant tab and selecting this icon here, which is designated as a printer for Radiant Report. We have the option to create a long report or a short report. In this case, we'll use a long report. We'll click OK. We can select our language, which we can have in Italian, British English, Spanish, French, or American English. We'll choose American. And we can choose our destination where we want it. We'll leave it as Radiant Test as an RTF file. We'll select Save, and we'll select OK. The program will take a minute for the Radiant file to generate, and as we can see, it is in a Word file, and we have our Radiant floor heat analysis. We have the option to manually type in type of project. We'll type in Radiant or whatever option is available for your particular project, and you can fill in all the information here as need be. Our second page is designated to notes, which in this case we'll just leave as the default as none. We have our table of contents, and we'll have our first chapter here as project details by room analysis. As you can see, our type of building is a Viega residential. Our total radiant area is 941.1 square feet. Our tidal pipe required is 1,595.08 feet. With our quantity of manifolds, we have 2. Our system capacity in gallons is 29.3, and our fluid type is a water temperature of 40 degrees Celsius or 104 degrees Fahrenheit. For our heating, our radiant output in BTUs we have here, as well as our supplemental heat in BTUs per hour, our nominal boiler output, and finally our flow rate in gallons per minute. And we also have the same information for our cooling. If we come to our next page for Unit 1, it is broken down into our room details. As you can see, our room description is first is our kitchen. We have our code, and we have it broken down into our total area of total floor area, total wall area, ceiling area, occupied area, perimeter area, wall, and ceiling area. We also have our total loads for our heating and cooling broken down into BTUs per hour. We have our residual load and gain due to tails. We also have it further broken down into designed winter temperature as well as summer temperature in Fahrenheit, which is 68 degrees Fahrenheit and 78.8 degrees Fahrenheit for our summer temp. Our temperature underneath the floor for the winter and also for the summer, which are 35 and 32 respectively. Our bottom section here is designated to our floor, which are covering thermoresistant. Our thermoresistance layers beneath the thermal mass, our screed thickness or slab, our type of system, and our pipe size. Finally, we have how many circuits are drawn in this room, which is 1. Further, we come to our next page. We have our manifold, which is circuit number 1, with our circuit area is 300.76 square feet. In the occupied area, we have our pipe spacing, which is 6 inches, and our perimeter area, which is 6 inches as well. For our load density in BTUs per hour in square feet, we have it broken down into our heating and cooling, as well as our output and service temperature for heating and cooling. We also have our radiant area in square feet for our occupied and perimeter area. We also have here our circuit length information and our total length, our circuit length, and our tail length. We also have our heating output for a heating delta T in Fahrenheit, as well as our cooling delta T. And this is the same information for each of our following rooms. Again, bathroom, our dining room, our family room, in our entry. We can now come to our next section, which is our manifold summary. As you can see, it's broken down into your code or description, our supply temperature in Fahrenheit for heating and cooling, our flow rate for gallons per minute, our number of circuits, our area covered in feet squared, our heat loss, our room quantity supplied by, our total heat rate, and finally our total cooling rate. Our next section is designated to our room by room analysis. As you can see, for heating and cooling, it's broken down by room. For our kitchen, we have our heat rate in BTUs per hour, our supplemental heat in BTUs per hour, and finally our ratio or percentage. As you can see, we also have, it can be broken down into a negative or a positive percentage. Our next section is our project information, which is our circuit details. We have our room code, our description, type of covering, and for our radiant area in feet squared, we have our total, our floor occupied, floor perimeter, walls, and ceiling. Our pipe spacing, we have our occupied and perimeter. Our pipe length is broken down into room crossed by tails, in room, tails, and total. And finally, we have our valve position and manifold. Our next section, section 4, is designated to tails, and as you can see, our tails go from room, which is our closet, with tails yes or no, in this case yes, how many feet, which is 9.93 feet, our number of circuits, there's only one circuit for this one, and it goes to the room designated as kitchen. And as you can see, it's broken down for each tail. Our next section, our installation board. In this case, we do not have any installation boards drawn in our project, so this section is left blank. Our next section is our circuits pipe coils combination. And as you can see, we have the different types of pipes, in this case a 3/4 inch Viegapex barrier pipe with a coil of 800 feet and also one for 1,000 feet. And then this is our excess in footage. Our coil association, as you can see, for our M1 manifold and our M2 manifold, we have it broken down into circuit number, our length, pipe spacing, coil, flow rate, heating output, and cooling output. And finally, we have our glossary in case you don't understand the terminology in our radiant report. This is our radiant report.